She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. We're so blessed that you've decided to join us today. And I hope that you chose to join us every day. We're here 6 days a week, Sunday, all the way till the following Friday. And so every day, you and I have a discussion that is redefining success for your life. You see, I believe that you should live your life by design and not by default. Unfortunately, most people live their life by default. They've been given a way of thinking. They've been given a way of living. They've been trained up a certain way, and that certain way actually has hurt them from becoming what I believe they were designed to become. And I believe that you have a destiny that's calling out to you, just like there is one calling out to me. And every day here on the Dani Johnson Show, we are constantly redefining what success and reaching your destiny actually looks like. Because success for you and for me might be something completely different. You know, for some of us, success has everything to do with how much we make. For others, it has everything to do with how much we are loved or how well we love. For some of us, it's how many people that we're delivering out of the sex trade, little kids who shouldn't be in the sex trade that are being trafficked. And so success for another person and the way they were designed is to help rescue those kids out of those certain scenarios. So whether your bend is business or a career, finance, family, community, or charity, here on the Dani Johnson Show, every day we're bringing you tips to help you to succeed in your destiny. And so today we're going to be tackling something that is very, very common and probably a major hindrance to your success. It's a hindrance to your family. It's a massive hindrance to your health. It's a huge hindrance to your business or your career and certainly your finances. And you may or may not have this in your life, but I know that 40 million Americans do. And hello, if I was to do a poll across the whole world, I would think that the numbers would be staggering to all of us. And what is a massive hindrance to you becoming successful? Anxiety. 40 million people suffer from anxiety right now. Isn't that crazy? They have a high level of anxiety. You know, I've heard over the last couple of decades, people who have anxiety attacks, something that I had not heard about prior to actually a decade and a half ago. It seems to be like anxiety attacks and anti-anxiety medications are something that are becoming very, very commonplace. And what we want to do today is we want to hear from those who have battled with anxiety and won, or if you happen to be somebody that you are currently battling with anxiety. It's almost as though it's a gigantic human being, huge. I mean, almost like my brother Sean, who's 320 pounds, and he's an former NFL football player. So he's like this massive being, man, and he has this massive presence. And anxiety can be as big as that to some people. It could be something that even has a horrible, mean look and something where you feel like you're going to be tormented by or that you're going to be pummeled by. Some people have such a horrible dealing with anxiety. They literally feel the physical presence of this. It's almost demonic in my opinion. Actually, it is demonic in my opinion. But anyway, so it's almost as though it's a giant NFL football player who's had a really bad day, right? And you could just see that look on their face, or there they are at the line and they've got to, they got to pummel over somebody else. And do you know what I'm talking about? So do you battle with anxiety? You know, anxiety comes in some of the strangest places. It can enter in our health, where we start worrying about tomorrow. We start worrying about our health. We start worrying about our future. You know, our foot starts hurting us, and then our brain starts going a little crazy about, oh my gosh, what if I'm getting arthritis? And if the arthritis is starting in my foot, and then it goes to my ankles, and it goes to my hips, oh no, I'll need a hip replacement. You know, this is people who battle with anxiety. They actually start filling in the blanks about how terrible things are actually going to continue to go. And so we're going to, first of all, Discover where it comes from, what the roots are, what the plan of anxiety is for your life, because anxiety does have a plan for your life, and how do we overcome it? How do we not become a victim of anxiety attacks and somebody that is easily overwhelmed, but that we become strengthened, that we become wiser, that we become a person and a people, generally a people who have faith and have a strong faith. And with that faith comes assurance. And with that assurance comes a knowing deep down inside of your knower that although you might be going through a very troubled storm, you know that no matter what it is that you're facing, you know that it's going to be used for something good. And so I want to help you and I both get on that boat that's heading down the right river. And that's a river that is faith-filled, one that knows where you're going, instead of that river of anxiety that seems to be nothing but whitewater rapids, that seems to be causing you to lose your breath, lose sleep, maybe even lose weight, that causes your body actually to be physically pained because of the entertainment of this very exhausting and exasperating emotion. The emotion of anxiety that tries to get you to quit on your dreams, tries to get you to quit on a project, tries to get you to search for excuses. You get completely overwhelmed to the point where you almost feel like you're drowning. Literally, that your head is underwater and you're trying to break free to the top to catch air, but you just can't seem to get there. Is it the finances that cause you to feel this way? Is it uncertainty in the marriage that causes you to feel this way? Is it looking at the future and looking at your kids and being worried about, are they going to turn out okay? Am I being a good enough parent? Is it with the business that you have, that your business seems to have all kinds of moving parts in lots of different directions, and maybe you feel that there's not enough talent within the walls of your business, and that you're just not going to get to where it is that you need to go? Where is it that anxiety begins to knock on the door of your emotions? Where is it? What says, come on in? How are you working through that? Is drugs really the answer? The drugs they actually prescribe for anxiety are highly addictive, highly, highly addictive, and have a lot of other, symptoms that they bring on. A lot of side effects, if you will. Side effects that I'm sure that you don't need to add to your things that you're anxious about. So I'm excited to talk to you today. Phone number today is 844-200-3264. Again, that's 844-200-3264. We really want to know if you are battling with this. Let us help you. I believe that two heads are better than one. I'm certainly not an expert on anxiety. I've had a bit of it in my life. And I know that there's certain things that I've chosen to do and certain mindsets that I've chosen to have in those moments of anxiety to move myself past that place and get into the place where I belong. However, I'm not an expert. But I will tell you this, that two hard heads are better than one. Number two, that today I just know from the bottom of my heart that we're going to have incredible people calling in to share how they've been able to overcome, where they have found help. Now, I know that right now you might be thinking, Dani, I don't have a problem with anxiety. Maybe you might have a small problem in an area that will actually bring anxiety into your life. You see, by the time it's full-fledged anxiety attacks, by the time it's full-fledged worrywart, there was all kinds of things that were happening way before that. And so today I want us to maybe see what the warning signs are way ahead, because if you are in the very beginning stages of opening the door of your emotions to anxiety, maybe you'll make the choice to not go there, because you and I could be on a path right now that we're completely deceived by. We could be living a life right now that we think is going to bring all the answers that we're looking for. But here's the reality. It could be actually leading us into a place where we've never wanted to go. I know that's what it was for me. You know, when I had a nervous breakdown at the age of 25, I did not see that the path that I was on was leading me to that nervous breakdown. If you've had a nervous breakdown, then you've suffered from anxiety. And I didn't know that working 100 hours a week was going to result in a nervous breakdown. I did not realize that working 100 hours a week was causing me to neglect my marriage and was causing me to neglect my kids and the neglect of those important relationships in my life that I had convinced myself I wasn't good at anyway. I'm never going to be good at this anyhow. I should have never gotten married. I really love my kids. I really miss my kids. And all of that hurt inside of me that I had not yet been even healed from, the hurt from my past as a kid, that was causing me to make stupid choices, the hurt that I had from being embezzled right after I'd made my first $1 million in business. So the hurts that I was carrying with me was creating this anxiety, and I was trying to prove that I was going to succeed, even though people were against me, even though I had been falsely accused, even though people had betrayed me. I was going to prove that I was somebody. And do you know that path of trying to prove that you're somebody, the path of not dealing with the hurts and struggles from your past, the path of neglecting your spouse and your kids, the most important relationships in your life, that path of working 100 hours a week results in anxiety attacks, which then eventually take you to the full-blown place of what? A nervous breakdown. And at that nervous breakdown, I wanted to end my life. I did. I actually tried. Fortunately, I was not successful. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to my voice right now. Fortunately, I had someone save my life in that moment. So you could be on a path right now that's going to lead you to anxiety. That's going to lead you to constant worry, doubt, fear, being suffocated, feeling like someone is holding your head underwater. There are certain ways that we live every day that lead to that big kabam where everything has been destroyed. And now you got some serious anxiety. So today we're going to work together so that we can bypass living in a way, the small little baby steps that take us to the big kablam. We're going to bypass those. And if you are in the kablam right now, well, then we're going to do what we can to help you out. And I'm looking forward to hearing your story if you have been able to overcome anxiety and you have the courage to share with the rest of us so you can keep us away from making those kinds of choices that lead us into a place that we don't want to be. So again, the phone number is 844-200-3264. Again, that's 844-200-3264. When we return after this break, we're going to hear from you on your story about overcoming anxiety. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First steps to success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
Friend, you know me. You know how passionate I am about my faith and the land of Israel. I'm so excited to tell you about something directly from the Holy Land. A good friend in Israel has teamed up with a good friend here in the U.S. to bring an incredible product that harnesses the healing power of the Dead Sea. Have you heard about Mud Zero? Face it, we may not like to talk about it, but some of us need help with removing unwanted hair, especially in unwanted places. Mud Zero is a solution for all skin types for men and women. Rub the mask on your skin, let it sit for 5 minutes, wipe it off, and you have smooth skin without the irritation. Then follow it up with a Depi lotion daily to reduce hair growth by up to 50%. Best of all, you can feel good knowing that over 10% of the profits goes directly to King's Ransom to feed the orphan and the widow. Go right now to mudzero.com and take advantage of an introductory offer they've created just for us. mudzero.com.
Helping you get a grip on your priorities and your focus. The Dani Johnson Show. Here's Dani Johnson.
Worrying is carrying tomorrow's load with today's strength. Corrie ten Boom, that's a quote from her. Isn't that so true, right? Worrying about today, worrying about tomorrow is draining yourself of today's strength. You're carrying 2 loads of worry with only 1 load of strength. It's ridiculous, is it not? Isn't it interesting the things that you and I do that we don't need to do? Worrying about tomorrow. Tomorrow has enough worries of its own. That came out of the best success book ever written. But man, isn't it true? Tomorrow has enough worries of its own. What about next week's worries? Oh, next week has enough worries of its own. We really need to grab wisdom so we do not create a perpetual habit of worry that then turns into anxiety, which then turns into depression, which then turns into, do you need to know? Yeah, suffocating, feeling like you just want to die. You don't want to go there. We want to stay far away from worry and anxiety as possible. And why? Because here on the Dani Johnson Show, we are helping you to define success for you. You see, a lot of people are following somebody else's dream. A lot of people don't even know who they are, like on their own. They're so busy living out what some people have told them they should be, so that they are not living who they are, who they were born to be, who they were designed to be. And so every single day on the Dani Johnson Show, 6 days a week, we are redefining success so that you find the right fit for you, that you know in your heart of hearts what you were destined for, what you were designed for, and what your desires are, so that you're not living somebody else's design. You're not following somebody else's desires, but that you yourself were uniquely and wonderfully made, have a model. You have a make and model, a manufacturer's make and model, and you were made for something. And so we want to help you today not become something you're not supposed to be. And oftentimes anxiety is present because we're trying to live up to somebody else's expectations. We're trying to become something that we were not made to become. And so we're going to be hearing from our callers today. How did they overcome anxiety? What did the road look like getting yourself to that anxious place? And or if you are suffering from anxiety now, we're going to do our very best to be able to help walk you through today, not being beat up by anxiety, but instead beating anxiety up, giving a 1-2 punch. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, we got Sherry from Ohio. Sherry, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. Have you been one that has struggled with anxiety, and have you overcome?
Yes, I very much struggled with it in my past, and I would say that overcoming it is a process. It wasn't an instant, lights on, everything's good now. But it's something I'm working on. It's something I pray about and receive prayer from for me.
Sherry, tell me this. Sherry, tell me this. What does, in the worst state where you've had the biggest problem with anxiety, how did that start, right? And the reason why I'm asking this question is because there might be somebody driving in their car right now. And when you say, how did this anxiety start? Because it didn't just happen one day. There's a path that leads us there. And we want to help to prevent people on living on that path, because eventually it ends up into full-blown anxiety attacks or even deep depression. So what did anxiety look like in your life, and how did you get to that place?
You and I actually have a very similar past, and it was a path of unforgiveness. It was a path of choosing not to let go of hurt and choosing not to allow God to heal me. Yeah. I went through years of poor little me syndrome. And it was only through Christ Jesus that I could be healed from that. And he set my feet on a path of being who he called me to be, instead of who I thought I should be and who the people around me said that I was.
Wow. Okay, so Sherry, I got to tell you, in my studies and in my time of prayer and studying people, that I've been studying people for the last almost 27 years, I can tell you that unforgiveness is the biggest key to anxiety.
Yeah.
Like it's the door opener for that. And so when you say you refused to forgive, you refused to be healed, you refused to release the hurts that others had brought upon your life. What did that look like? What do you mean you refused? Meaning, did you like to just wallow in anger or self-pity?
Oh, absolutely. I wallowed in anger. I wallowed in self-pity. I had an excuse and someone to blame for every aspect of my life. I took no responsibility for everything because it's not my fault. Yeah. And that led me down to very deep depression, thoughts of suicide, a failed marriage. It went no place good. Yeah. It went no place good. And dwelling on those negative things, I allowed Satan to plant seeds in my mind and I would dwell on things. I was worrying about things that didn't exist anywhere in my mind.
Wow.
I was worrying about the what ifs and the possibilities
Yep.
that hadn't even come to pass.
And so many people do that every single day. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
The Dani Johnson Show. No excuses, no blaming, just real life. Stay tuned for more of The Dani Johnson Show.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
Now, more of The Dani Johnson Show.
There you are, being tossed by 20-foot waves. Can you feel your struggle of being completely out of control and you can't take a breath? As soon as you think you're getting to the top, then it's over. You get tucked down underneath the tide that's pulling you deeper. That's the feeling that 40 million people are living with every single day. That's anxiety. You know what's powerful about anxiety is that not only does it trip you up and have you focused on things that you cannot fix, or maybe in some cases things that you can fix but you choose not to, but eventually anxiety tries to isolate you because you are so embarrassed by how you're feeling, and you feel like nobody understands, and that you're all alone and you're the only person going through such a terrible thing. Anxiety then pulls you into isolation, which then draws you into a deep depression. Eventually, the goal of anxiety is to take your life. But not today, my friend. Here on the Dani Johnson Show, where we redefine success for you and you redefine success for yourself, we are uncovering a lie about anxiety. Why is it in 40 million people's lives? You're like, Dani, it's not in my life. I don't even know why you're talking about this. It doesn't apply to me. Oh, yes, it does. Because if you entertain worry, you're about to open the door to anxiety. If you worry about your bills, you worry about tomorrow, you worry about your future health, you worry about whether or not your kids are going to turn out okay, you worry about whether or not the economy is going to cause your business to fail, you worry whether or not you've got the right product or the right mate, you worry about whether or not you got the right body or the right look, you worry about whether or not the new diet that you just bought is going to work. You see, worry is the precursor to anxiety, and anxiety has a desire to depress you and to cause you to quit. Worry is something that you should not be entertaining. It is something that you should not allow into your mind, but maybe you do. Well, I'm going to tell you this. Worrying does not pay the bills. Anxiety will not get you a raise. It never results in the things that you are after. Worry and anxiety is not going to help heal the relationship with your spouse, your kids, your sister, your brother, your mother, your father. It's not going to heal those relationships, but I can tell you this. Unforgiveness is the root of anxiety. All that pain, all that struggle, all that hurt from the past is what causes you to want revenge, causes you to want to be justified, causes you to want somebody to defend you at work and at home. This thing called anxiety, its mouth is going to get shut today, right here on the Dani Johnson Show. If you're listening to this show, you have struggled with anxiety and you have been able to overcome. We want to hear your success story. 844-200-3264. And if you want to become that success story, you are struggling with anxiety right now. You want to get underneath that darn thing and you do not want to be suffocated by it anymore. Call me now, 844-200-3264. You're not alone, my friend. I once battled with worry and anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts. I do not battle with that anymore. 844-200-3264. I'm so excited to go to the phones right now because we're going to be hearing a combination of stories and struggles and how you and I working together are going to be able to help you to overcome, to get over this. Why? Because you got a life to live. You got a destiny that's calling out to you. You were designed to succeed. Whichever way success looks like for you personally, because we're all different. We're all made different. We all have a call to a destiny in our lives. And therefore, we have a different path. And success has certain ingredients that help it to work, whether it is for making millions or billions of dollars or has nothing to do with money at all. The same exact success principles can help your marriage, can help your family to succeed. And if that means for you peace and harmony and great memories, then that's what success is for you. Don't let somebody else tell you what success is. You have to define it for yourself. So we're going over here to Allison. Allison from Rochester, New York. Allison, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hey, Dani, I'm here to give everybody a message of hope. I grew up in a pretty abusive household, alcoholic dad, neglective mom, that whole deal. And I remember the first time I started struggling with this anxiety and deep depression was at the age of 7. And Hold on
a second, Allison. Oh gosh, that just completely breaks my heart. I'm a mother of 5, a grandmother of 7. I've got a 7-year-old granddaughter that just turned 7 2 days ago. And so that right there just makes me go, oh gosh, okay, talk to me, okay? What did that look like? What was it? What were the thoughts or the feelings you had at 7 years old where you were battling against anxiety at the age of 7? What were you worried about? What were you thinking about?
This is crazy. It was actually the worrying about dying. I started having suicidal thoughts at that age, and I didn't understand why. And I went to my parents, and I just asked them, and they said, "Well, that's stupid. Why don't you shut up and go out and do whatever?" And so I learned not to express my feelings, to hold them in, and so I found, found solace through school, through doing really well, which created more worry because I wanted to get really good grades for myself, Yeah. So this whole cycle perpetuated my entire life into getting my first job and, in and out of high school, major depressions and suicidal stuff, and it was horrible. And in and out of therapy and all that good stuff. And what I found was, looking back as a bird eye view, it's crazy because I didn't want to go on any medication and I toughed it out. And I now know my personality traits, by the way, so I understand why. It's pretty funny. But this is crazy, back in a few years back, I was going to some therapy, and my therapist, which is now what I call non-wise counsel, that particular one, basically said, if you don't go on any meds, I'm going to drop you.
Wow.
And at that point, I was at a pretty imbalanced place in my life. So I fought for a little bit, and then I gave in. But the point of the story is I ended up in a car accident as a side effect of one of the anti-anxiety meds that they had me on, because I was having panic attacks. I was going through divorce and stuff, and another indication. I ended up being arrested. They thought I was drunk, and I ended up going through the entire law system. Had to plead to a DWAI, even though I wasn't drinking. It was a side effect of this medication. And it took a year through the court system, about $7,000, and I was so mad. I was so angry. But the point of this whole thing is I came out deciding that I was going to take this freaking nasty thing and throw it back to hell where it belongs, and I was going to start taking some action. And I found wise counsel, and I started working really hard, and I, got off all the meds and, just really working on myself. Yes. And I still work on myself. I was just actually at First Steps last weekend, and I'm just so grateful for just, the gratitude in my heart. And I've learned to forgive, and I'm constantly working on that daily. It just opens doors, and there's a breakthrough. And I'm 43, and I just look at it, what if I didn't make that one choice to forgive, to at least want gratitude? Yeah. Because I know that's the root of it all. I started writing in a gratitude journal 165 days ago, and then the world opened to things happening, including me being drawn to start to go to DaniJohnson.com. Wow. So it's crazy, but I'm grateful. I still struggle with it a little bit, but I have the right tools.
Yes.
To deal with it. So I'm excited, very grateful.
Yes. I can hear it in your voice. You sound like you're happy. You sound like you're encouraged. It sounds like you've got tools and you're using those tools. And you know what? I know what it's like. When I was 6 years old, it was the first time I tried to commit suicide. And you're the only other person I've ever met that was about that same age where suicidal thoughts started to enter in. And I think largely parents don't know what to say to their 6 or 7-year-old who is having these kinds of thoughts, but they're there. They're absolutely there. And shutting the kid down is absolutely not the way to go. I'm really, really proud of you for a few things. And I want to talk about those tools. Number one, you took personal responsibility. That is where it starts. That's where it starts because
nobody's going to clean this up for me, Dani.
Right, and nobody controls your thoughts. Nobody controls your thoughts. And when you finally come to that revelation that, hold it, I'm in control of what goes through my own thoughts. And I'm serious, man. I've worked with hundreds of thousands of people from all over the world, all walks of life, all religions, all races, all backgrounds, all socioeconomic backgrounds. And I can tell you that anxiety does not have a particular race that it likes to pick on. Anxiety doesn't have an economic status that it likes to pick on. It doesn't have a particular gender it likes to pick on. It doesn't have a particular religion that it likes to pick on. It picks on all people, all ages, all demographics. It picks on everybody who is willing to open the door to it. And the door opener is unforgiveness. Yes. And all of us have unforgiveness in our lives. Every single person has some kind of unforgiveness in their hearts. The problem is that when you don't think it's a problem, you keep adding more bricks to the unforgiveness wall. And that unforgiveness wall gets thicker, taller, wider, deeper, until it pushes you to have to, go get some serious help. I'm so proud of you, Allison. Thanks so much for having the courage to share your story. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more success and overcoming anxiety, worry, and fear after this.
Hey, have you done a favor for your best friend yet? Then do it now. Share this program with them. The Dani Johnson Show, helping hundreds of thousands of people just like you make life more enjoyable and rewarding. The Dani Johnson Show.
This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
We're back. Here's Dani Johnson.
Dani, I just can't stop thinking about the train wreck that my life is. I can't stop thinking about the fact that there's no light at the end of the tunnel. Listen, my friend, if that is you, hang tight, because today's show is going to help you overcome. You see, on the Dani Johnson Show, 6 days a week, we redefine success for you. So if you're that person who is absolutely struggling with anxiety, success for you would be one to be free from that. That would be success for you. And so many people are out there trying to chase stuff, material things, thinking that's going to make them successful. Having a big fat bank account's going to make me successful. I got to tell you, I've met a lot of people and I've helped a lot of people build big fat bank accounts, and it does not buy anybody happiness. It does not. But for someone who is anxious, success for them is one who would be able to experience peace. I have to share the story with you that we came across. One of our faithful listeners to the Dani Johnson Show writes, prior to listening in and being a part of DaniJohnson.com, I was a train wreck of fear and anxiety with debt that was spiraling out of control. From the outside, everything looked great, but in reality, my marriage and family were suffering with broken relationships. After attending First Steps to Success, which is the training seminar we have coming up in Austin, Texas, January 17th, 18th, and 19th is your next opportunity. 2015, it's the first opportunity that you have to get to the next first steps. She says, I found a way to get better relationships in just 7 days. After I started applying what I learned, I paid off $30,000 worth of debt in 16 months. Now, come on. Come on now. You know that had to relieve her of fear and anxiety. Having a plan, having tools. Well, part of her anxiety was the debt that was piling up. So paying off $30,000 in 16 months, and she grew her business 400% in just the first 4 months. Most importantly, she was able to mend her relationship with her husband before he suddenly died and healed up the relationship with her sons. So if Joyce Boyden from the East Coast, a faithful listener here on the Dani Johnson Show, can tap in and get a hold of some tools to annihilate her debt and mend up relationships that were broken and toxic, then so can you. So can you. You can learn the same exact tools that Joyce had learned. We're going to the phones. We're hearing from other people about how they've been able to overcome anxiety, worry, fear, doubt, all of those things, because those particular emotions will not help you to become successful. And like I said at the beginning of the segment, when we are covered with anxiety, which then brings its buddy fear and doubt, it brings its buddy worry, okay? These things that then open the door to depression. This keeps you away from your destiny. This does not help you to become the person you were designed to be, the person you were born to be, the person that's calling out of you saying, come on, let's do something with ourselves, okay? You know you've got a voice talking to you like that. And you also have this voice called anxiety. So we've got Kelly from Fresno, California. Kelly, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, thanks so much. I used to worry a lot about being successful, or actually about being unsuccessful. Mm-hmm. And so over a process, I was able to, just through church and friends, able to overcome it. I was getting a divorce, my second divorce.
Ouch.
And just sitting there like such a loser, and just had such horrible feelings about myself, not suicidal, but just loathing of myself and just shame. And
wait a second, Kelly, what kind of things, tell me, what kind of things would you be telling yourself?
I didn't want to, everybody's going to judge me, and I want to control what everybody thinks of me.
Yes.
And I don't want to tell anybody that I'm a 2-time loser, because that's what they'll think if I tell them that I'm going through a divorce again.
Yeah.
And my first one was 20 years, and the second one was only 2 years, and it was just horrible. So I was also a real estate broker. The market's crashing in California. And one night I was just like crying out to God, and, peace came over me, and a program came on and said, isn't this something you want to invent? And I grew up poor, so I was always inventing things. Anyways, after listening to this and prayer and knowing I can't do something like that, decided, you know what? I think I can. And I did. So long story, I'll scoop that into a little bag for you, is it was a very successful thing. It took 3 years. It was extremely successful, beyond my wildest dreams.
So hold on a second. So you basically found something else to think about. You actually took your thoughts. You took your thoughts off of, I'm a 2-time loser, I'm a real estate broker or an agent, and everyone's going to judge me for getting a second divorce. I'm an idiot. You can't do anything right. To you found something to focus on that was exciting. And so you took all the focus off of the loser, and you put the focus on something that was exciting and life-giving, and that helped you to break this anxiety over your life. You know something that you said that was really powerful, Kelly? Because I've been caught in this, and it is that when you have allowed yourself to beat yourself up, right?
Yeah.
You start to believe the press in which you are pressing upon you, which is saying, you loser, you idiot, you can't do anything right.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
You're battling with depression at that place. You are probably not eating right at that place, but you do try to control how other people think.
Yeah.
You do.
Mine was more of a denial. I sunk myself into this, and then afterwards I had, no worries, I had double the worries, because I was worrying now about we'd bought a couple of businesses and worrying so much about them. And I go to a 12-step program called Celebrate Recovery because I'm also codependent. And what I learned just recently, and I'm so excited, and this is why I called in, is that I have anxiety. And I did not know that I did. I thought I had worry. But what I'm learning is what I have is a thing that I believe that if I don't have the Christmas party, that Christmas might actually be canceled, like on the Grinch Stole Christmas. And it's not going to happen.
Exactly.
I cannot control what other people think or do.
Yes.
And that is the 12-step program is called Celebrate Recovery. And
Wow.
Rick Warren's a big supporter of it. And step 1 teaches us that denial.
Yes.
Denial is, I didn't know I had all those issues. I knew something was wrong because it invades my sleep, my worry about
Yes.
this person and this lawsuit or, just different big things going on.
Mm-hmm.
And what I learned is, you know what? So what?
Exactly.
Oh, is it peaceful?
Exactly.
And it is the most peaceful, life-giving,
Yeah.
amazing thing to know that I am
Yes.
actually not God, and I'm going to go ahead and let God be God,
Yes.
and me just be Kelly,
Yeah.
and just run my businesses to, I just love my girl. I learned this at.
It's so awesome.
Life's just so peaceful now.
Yes. And you know what's so interesting is so many of us are carrying a God complex with us. We really are. If we're trying to control the thoughts of other people and we're trying to live according to how they think of us, that's a God complex. It's ridiculous. We can't control what other people think. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more of Hour 2 of the Dani Johnson Show, redefining success for your life.
Don't just stand there. Soak this up. It's joy, it's encouragement, it's insight to a better life and how to meet your obligations and overcome obstacles.
The Dani Johnson Show.
This is The Dani Johnson Show.
And I'm so blessed that I found what is in Grooming the Next Generation for Success. This is a book that is being taught in universities around the world. It's been noted as the best book on parenting that has ever been written. Crazy, if you ask me. But the point is that this thing gets results. Get your copy today, 888-757-8880. Again, that's 888-757-8880. Or go to DaniJohnson.com. That's DANI Johnson.com. Get your copy today.
How to live a very balanced life.
I've totally sacrificed my friendships and I've definitely sacrificed my family. And yeah, I only get 4 to 6 hours of sleep every night.
Struggles with managing your time. How to solve issues with love, life, money, or your spiritual journey.
I can't stress to you enough. It's important to live a very balanced life.
Dani is the counterweight to give you balance.
Do you find that you're not living out your life the way you want it to?
This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Welcome to Hour 2 of the Dani Johnson Show. We're very blessed that you chose to join us today. We're talking about a plague. You're like, I'm changing the channel. I don't want to hear about a plague. Dani, all I ever hear is negative news out there. I turn into your show because hopefully you're going to tell me something better than that. It's a plague that actually starts off as a little virus, a little tiny sickness, a little sniffle. Yes. No, we're not talking about Ebola. No, we are talking about anxiety. Yes. It starts off just a little snipple, a little worry about, I wonder what so-and-so thinks of me. And gosh, if I actually venture out and I start a business, then, oh gosh, what if it fails? What if it doesn't succeed? And, and then what if my friends laugh at me? And what if people know that I am not educated? We entertain these crazy thoughts, especially when it comes time to making a big decision, right? We allow worry to open the door to anxiety, and anxiety, will open the door to some procrastination because fear and procrastinations are the best of friends. Yes! Indecision, good close buddy as well. We stay living in that worry, anxiety, procrastination, indecision, fear, doubt, unbelief leads all to depression. Depression, when it comes to the fullness of its story, results in suicidal thoughts, and unfortunately, a certain percentage of people that will commit suicide. Dani, this is depressing. No, we are actually exposing this because you might be on a road right now that's going to take you to full-fledged anxiety attacks. And this is what I think is hilarious, because you right now are like, I don't have a problem about worry or anxiety. I'm on medication, Dani. Trust me, your drugs are not going to fix the problem. Your drugs are not going to fix the problem. You've got to deal with the root issue of this thing and start to walk in freedom and peace. Do you know that $42 billion per year is spent on anxiety disorders? Yes. People in the land of the free, the home of the brave, let me say that again, the land of the free, the home of the brave, are spending $42 billion on anxiety disorders. Isn't that crazy? I loved what happened in our first hour. Oh my gosh, the first hour of this show, all the different stories that we heard of people who have been able to overcome anxiety, what it looked like, how young did it start? We had a 7-year-old. A 7-year-old was having suicidal thoughts that then turned into full-fledged, as an adult, suffering from these anxiety attacks. But here on the Dani Johnson Show, 6 days a week, you know what we do. We're helping you define success for you because you were born for a destiny. You were born with certain gifting and talents and abilities, and that destiny is calling out to you even right now as you're hearing my voice. And that destiny has got to overcome worry, fear, doubt, unbelief, anxiety, depression, procrastination. It has to. Why? Because you cannot reach your destiny with playing around with those emotions. So we're hearing stories from other people, how they've been able to overcome. We're also hearing how they started on that path, because you could be on the path and not even know it. You might be entertaining with something right now, playing around with something right now that's going to make you anxious, and anxiety makes you fearful. And it makes you not be able to work as effectively. It robs you of your talent and your skills and your beautiful abilities that are inside of you. So we're going over to the phones. We've got Jenny on line 3 from Tennessee. Jenny, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hey, Dani.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Good. I just wanted to say I started going, I was referred to your First Steps program. Ooh. Sorry, that was an ambulance.
Okay.
And so I went to the first event in January of 2011, but that was not what was that drawn me to the First Steps group. It was your spiritual equipping show on Saturday nights and those archived calls you had in the Insider that had me hooked.
Wow.
So, but for years I was plagued with anxiety and really didn't know what to do about it. And I'd wake up and be covered with issues. I don't know how else to say it. I'm messing up. Anyway, I should just think and not try to read. But since it will be 4 years in January, listening, I've come to the reality that, as I'm equipped with Scripture, it helps a lot to deal with the anxiety that might creep in to the night and be armed with words to say. But one of the areas that are affected is the issues of acceptance.
Yeah. Yep. You know what? I got to tell you, that's what I have found in working with thousands of people from all over the world that causes the most amount of anxiety is feeling like you're going to be rejected or have been rejected in the past, whether it is rejected by family members, whether it's been rejected because of being molested as a kid, rejected even on the schoolyard. When we carry rejection with us, we fear being rejected, and some people fear it every single day. And yet their professions actually require for them to be associated with other people. And even being married and having children's requires you to being around other human beings. And when we fear being rejected, this creates a crazy level of anxiety. And it's the anxiety of I won't be accepted. And so we do everything we possibly can to try to be accepted instead of just being ourselves. We reject ourselves when others have rejected us. And rejection issues, oh yeah, man, I have seen rejection destroy relationships like crazy. I've seen rejection destroy businesses, really talented people, because of rejection from their past. They have not accepted themselves of who they are. They won't accept other people. And if we can't accept other people, we can't hire good people. We can't work for good people or with good people. We can't marry good people, and we certainly will not raise good people. And so acceptance is a huge key to releasing anxiety. It was something that we had heard from one of the other callers too, is she said, she was one that used to worry all the time about what everybody thought of her. Okay, now that's fearing being rejected by those people. It's the desire to be accepted. All of us want to be accepted. And so when she finally came to the place of, who cares? I can't control how they think of me. I can't control how anything happens. Forget it. Now there's a freedom in saying, I'm just going to accept things as they are, and it is what it is. And you know what? If they don't like me, that's their issue. That's between them and their God. That's between them and their own heart. I know who I am. I know what I was designed to be. And man, there's some incredible peace that comes when you accept yourself, your good, bad, or indifferences about yourself. We're all human. We stop hiding. We stop trying to become something that others we think might like. And as soon as we begin to like our own form, as soon as we accept ourselves and we treat ourselves the way we want others to treat us, yes, it is important to treat yourself with love and honor and respect. And out of that love, honor, and respect, then we can treat others with love, honor, and respect. And guess what you'll find? That others will accept you and they want to be accepted by you. It's impossible to succeed, my friend, if you are one who rejects people because you've been rejected. It is impossible to succeed if you are carrying this spirit, if you will, of rejection. If you want to succeed, you've got to be one that accepts yourself, your great things about yourself, your bad things about yourself, the things that really just don't matter about yourself. You need to accept. And you also need to be accepting of other people. That's love. And love casts out all fear, including anxiety. Love casts out all fear, including anxiety. Fear and anxiety are the best of friends. They're pretty much the same thing. It's fear that causes us to be anxious. Love, perfect love, casts out all fear. Perfect love casts out all anxiety. Thank you so much, Jenny, for sharing. We appreciate you so much, and congratulations that you've been coming to First Steps to Success, that you found us through the Spiritual Equipping broadcast, which the next one happens every Wednesday night and then every couple of months live in the marketplace, the Spiritual Equipping message that we give out there. Thanks so much, Jenny, for being here with us. God bless. We also have Charlie from Abilene, Texas. Charlie, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Well, thanks, Dani. I appreciate it. Just really listening to everybody's phone call and so encouraged. One of the things that helped me to overcome anxiety was staying plugged into community.
Yes.
And in doing so, the community that I surrounded myself with like-minded people, people that were positive, encouraging, and we're all reading the same success book and success books. And so it really helped me out by getting to the point where I was able to do power of self-affirmation, to declare, to hear myself speak the things that are not as though they are, and really grasp a hold of who I was, of every promise, of everything that has been given to me. So I was in a real dark place that I was able to get out and step outside of myself and be able to really hear myself out of it. The power of me talking to myself. It was kind of awkward at first, but I started off with just simple things like, I have faith, I believe, I have peace in my mind, I have peace in my body, and I am tranquil. Yes. And it was just those simple phrases that helped me, started giving me hope.
Yes.
And once I get a glimpse of hope, once I caught a glimpse of hope, I was able to, carry it on. And then I found passages that said that if I that he will keep my mind in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on him.
Yes.
It was things like that that helped me to get through those dark times in my life. And so I was able to put on a garment of praise
Yes.
for the spirit of heaviness.
Yes.
And so all these truths, all these success stories written throughout the greatest success book ever written were lying there for me. I just had to put them into action.
Yes.
And then I had a body and a community to do that with. So
Yes.
personal development has been
Huge.
the key. Personal development through the Word of God, and then
Yes.
surrounding myself.
Yes. Charlie, man, so powerful. I'm encouraged by everything I just heard come out of your mouth. And because everything you just said
Amen.
is truth, and it does encourage, it edifies, it exhorts us, and we need that to happen, and we need to have it coming out of our mouth. Thank you so much, Charlie, for sharing. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
In a world of broken promises, we're here to help you through life. The Dani Johnson Show. No excuses, no blaming, just real life. Stay tuned for more.
For families in Santa Pancha, Nicaragua, life is filled with fear and struggle. They don't have enough food for their kids, clean water is hard to find, and they're living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel on top of mining tunnels that could explode and sink at any moment. But a miracle is in the making, and you can be a part of transforming this village. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha to see how you can help. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org, and click on Santa Pancha.
Giving you the playbook to design your life. This is the Dani Johnson Show. And now, here's Dani.
Imagine the level of anxiety that you would have if you had 9 children and you couldn't feed them. We in this country, as well as maybe the country you might be listening to this show from, because this is an international radio and television show, we have a tendency of worrying about things that are quite small, especially when you hear about somebody else's problems, right? We always think that our problems are just enormous, and then we hear about somebody that might have it a bit worse than us. People like Fida, right? Who an earthquake hit her little town, destroyed her home and her crops and her water supply. Fortunately, none of the 9 children were affected. But 9 kids and not having food or water or shelter for them. Now, come on, I don't care how bad of a day you've had lately. It ain't that bad, right? We both have to agree that no, okay, Dani, you got me. No, the issue I'm having with my employee right now, yes, it's bad, but it isn't like that bad. Could you imagine the level of worry? If your physical body experienced an earthquake like that and everything came crashing down around you, your physical body, like every time maybe that there's a little bit of a tremor, you right away, like you'd be shifted in some crazy level of worry. It's almost as though you feel your blood rush all over your whole body. Have you ever had that happen? Like if you've ever like almost gotten too close to the edge of the road, right? And there's not a railing there, you're driving, you feel that, or a car almost crashed into you. You know how your body you get this flush of blood all over? That's probably how Fida has felt multiple times. But thank God for her pastor, who was relentless to pray for a miracle to come to his village. You see, for some, anxiety, the only answer is praying for a miracle. And Pastor Joseph, he prayed and prayed fervently for a miracle to come to his village. And what he was asking for was water supply, clean water, so that the little kids would stop dying of the diseases that they were dying from because of the polluted water, the only water supply that was available. He's praying for food for his village of 2,000 people. But see, this is what's so awesome about faith and so awesome about prayer, especially fervent prayer and a pure heart that wants to bring help to his people. Well, all of a sudden, one day, a group of us happened to be face-to-face with Pastor Joseph in Kadwa, Haiti, as he was sharing with us the needs of his people. Well, we decided that we are going to use the gifting and talent that we have, rather than using it to build ourselves bigger houses, rather than using it to buy another Fendi purse, rather than using it to buy another car that we do not need, rather than buying another pair of shoes for our children that don't need another pair of shoes, or some more toys and they absolutely don't need more toys, and rather than buying more electronics for ourselves that we absolutely do not need, and rather than going through the Starbucks drive-thru again and eating out day after day after day after day, we all decided to point the money towards a miracle. The miracle of rebuilding Kadwa, Haiti. 65 brand new homes we're in the process of building. 2 water supplies that will feed and nourish and cleanse 2,000 people for the rest of their lives. A sugar plant that will provide 200 jobs. This clean water is also going to help to create flourishing crops for these families. Businesses that they are starting already, because we've already had 20 families move into their brand new earthquake-proof or safe and hurricane-safe homes. You can help be a part of that miracle. One of the ways to kill your own anxiety is to focus on helping somebody else work through theirs. You can do that right now by going to kingsransom.org. Again, that's kingsransom.org. kingsransom.org. You can also call this phone number right now, which is 888-291-7123. Again, that's 888-291-7123. Give what you can. You got $10, give the $10. Or you can be like Jacob, a little 7-year-old who decided to use his birthday as a way to raise money for people who have no homes, who have no food. This kid raised $7,000 using this birthday of his to help those who can't help themselves. So maybe you'll deny yourself of something that is a favorite of yours for just 30 days so that you can help somebody else get food and clean water and shelter because they have none. Could you imagine how awesome that's going to make you feel? It's going to make you feel really awesome. And if you want to have that feeling right this minute, go to kingsransom.org, click on Kadwa Haiti, and it'll take you directly to the page. It's going to show you the project that we're working on. We are shy about $150,000 before we're able to complete all 65 brand new homes that we're going to deliver to this area. kingsransom.org, or you can dial 888-291-7123. Give what you can. Maybe you can sponsor one whole home or a half a home. Do what you can. This is Dani Johnson. We're going to handle some more about having success in spite of anxiety right after this.
Let go of the past and hang on for what's new and exciting and about to come into your life. Stay tuned to The Dani Johnson Show. There's more to come.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First steps to success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
Now, more of The Dani Johnson Show.
There is an enemy. You have an enemy. You have an adversary. You do. Dani, come on, you're ridiculous. Okay, well, if you think I'm ridiculous, you're completely in denial, completely deceived, and your head is not on top of your shoulders. I'll let you use your imagination of where it might be. You do have an adversary, friend. I do. We both do. And one of the adversaries of our success is anxiety. Yeah, worry, fear, depression. These are emotions that do not help us to have the rip-roaring success that we want to have. And what kind of success? It's different for everybody. What is success to you? What does it look like for you? Well, I'll tell you what, if you are an anxious person, if you can feel your heart beginning to race at the thought of taking care of a task that others can take care of without even thinking about, when you all of a sudden get flushed, when you start talking because you worry about being embarrassed, if you are that person that it's the last week of the month and right now you are terrified that you are not going to be able to make your rent payment, yes, this is an enemy, an adversary to your success. Anxiety and fear robs your bank account. It robs you of your earning potential. It robs you of creativity. You've got to punch anxiety in the nose and overcome. And once you've punched anxiety in the nose, you've got to have a plan of action of keeping anxiety away from you. One of the ways is to figure out, how did it get there to begin with? It wasn't just all of a sudden this giant monster jumped on your back and started beating your head in. There was a path. There was a door that opened in a very quiet place. It's almost like this, right? You had some sniffles. You thought it might have been a little bit of hay fever or something like that. And pretty soon you've got a chest cold. And then pretty soon it's bronchitis. And then it's pneumonia. Do you understand? There was something that it started with. Well, Dani, it started with the sniffles. No, maybe it started with that you drank too much the night before. Maybe it started with that you were eating way too much sugar. Maybe it is that you stayed out too late, night after night after night, not eating good, eating junk food. not getting good sleep, having to get up early and go to work, and then all the stress and pressure at work because you're not at your best. Yes, you ripped up your immune system, friend. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, literally, that's how the path can start. So when it comes to success, you really have to look at the way you're living your life and ask yourself the question, even in this moment, is what I'm doing right now, is how I'm feeding myself, how am I feeding my mind, how I'm acting, decisions I am making. Is this helping me get to my goal? What is the goal? Is it becoming debt-free? Is it becoming financially independent? Is it building a successful organization, a church, a charity, or a business? Is it having a family that, man, is encouraging to each other, loving each other? Lord have mercy, right? Is it being around people that are like that? Only you can define what success means to you. All of us are different. But here on the Dani Johnson Show, I'm always going to show you every day, 6 days a week, hindrances to that success, hindrance to that goal, and how to overcome them. So we're going over the phones. We've had some amazing stories today of ways that people have overcome anxiety in their life. We've got Renee from Wilmington, North Carolina. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, Dani. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly. Go for it, Renee.
Hey there. Hey, well, I love what you just said, because that's exactly what I found out that had happened to me, was the eating and the, just being overwhelmed. And my husband and I had lost a multi-millionaire finance company, and it was the dream that we, had strived for.
Wow.
And with all of that and the anxiety and, just the not taking care of myself and, trying to take care of him, and everything that was going on, that's exactly what happened to me. So I actually started with the nutrition program. Well, prayer first. I prayed a lot, to figure out what was going on. And then I had something to drop into my life that helped me nutritionally. And that really started making a big difference and changed a lot of things about my health. And then added some exercise into that. And I remember going to Zumba classes and feeling so overwhelmed, even with the dust bunnies floating by on the floor, thinking, I can't do this, I can't do this. And I'm a decent dancer, but I had lost myself. I had lost who I was and who I knew I was. And that was, that caused anxiety. That was, frightening in itself. But I stuck in there and I kept doing it, and I just kept doing it, even when it was painful and I was so fearful. I had developed this unbearable fear, which made me actually understand where agoraphobia could come from for some people, because it's like then you start fearing that the fear is going to hit you. Yeah. And I just kept doing it. But the exercise and the supplements and just the praying helped so much. And I would say the biggest thing, honestly, for me was that I had so much self-doubt after being successful, fighting for our dreams, doing exactly what you said, and getting unhealthy and working long hours and doing all that to get there, and then losing it. So then it's like, okay, well, now what? Do we dream again? Do we just settle for? I'm afraid to dream again because I don't want to go through that again. But yet I'm a dreamer, and I felt called to bigger things, and I felt, so then that actually overwhelmed me, because it was like I realized I'm supposed to help women who look like they have it all together and they're dying on the inside, because that's who I am. And that's what I'm going through. And when I really, truly wanted to do that, then I got anxious about that. Like, okay, who do I help? Where do I go? What do I do? And so I felt like I kept telling people like a racehorse stuck behind the broken gate. Like, I know what I want. I know what God has put desires in my heart to do. But I'm struggling. Like, I'm working on this, and things are definitely getting better. And then I found out it's me. Until I can love me enough to figure out who I am, which I did, and like the lady said before, it was all a process. But I didn't have any self-worth, and I didn't have any self-love. And I can't go out there and change the world and make a difference and do what you do and dream of, being on stage helping people one day when I have so much fear because I don't feel worthy. Like, I can help you with all your problems, but I can't figure out what mine are, And taking time for myself and just sitting quietly on my porch and praying and asking God and making me sit still, because I'm not a sit still kind of person. has changed my life. That's actually been what's been happening in the past few months.
Wow. Renee, that's so right on. I want to pick apart what you said in a positive way because I don't want anybody to miss what you said. So diet is huge. But here it is too. First of all, I'm proud of you that you are bootstrapping with the courage to say, I will and I can succeed again. Because what happens is, and I did this in my first business, my identity was all wrapped up in dollar figures. So if I made a lot of money, I was worth a lot. But if I had a dip in my business, now I wasn't worth much. And then I got embezzled and now I had no money. So this was a disaster. And so whenever our identity is wrapped up in dollar figures, when our identity is wrapped up in success or material possessions or how we look by other people, how other people look at us, this is a disaster. And so it brings us down to a place of all out humility that we figure this out. I'm nothing. I'm nothing. And then if we follow God, then he shows us that we're right. We are nothing apart from him. But in him, all things are possible. In him, he defines who we are and what he says about us, that we were wonderfully made, that we were designed with a destiny in mind, that when he looks upon us, it takes his breath away, that he is so proud, so pleased at us when we are focused on him and when we are walking with him and we're doing our best to please him. When we come to that place of, wait a second, I don't have to strive to be accepted by my true Father. I don't have to strive and act a certain way to be accepted by the one who created me. He loves me, and there's nothing that's going to separate his love from me. Now, I can walk away from his love, and I will be walking in darkness, but he still loves me even when I'm an idiot, which draws me to come closer to him. So prayer is huge for defeating anxiety. Number 2, diet. Yes. What we put in our mouths either gives us energy or gives us false energy. A quick shot in the arm through caffeine that then drops us out of an airplane. And we're falling from 30,000 feet in the air. And we can feel ourselves falling. And then we reach for the Snickers bar. We reach for the Butterfinger, or we reach for the Blizzard from Dairy Queen. We reach for something that's a really bad idea that shoots us back up again and then drops us back again. Now our body is cussing us out. Why have you put this stuff in me? You are poisoning me. And then we feel the effects of the poison, especially if you're 40 years old and over. You feel the effects of the poison in your body. You feel it in your joints the next day. Your muscles are hurting. You can't think clearly. You're not sleeping very well. All of this stuff rips your physical body up so that it cannot deal with the normal everyday stresses of life, the normal everyday stresses of just breathing and living and associating with other humans. Set yourself up for success. Quit poisoning yourself, which then puts you in a place of being anxious, of failing and fearful. You are wonderfully made. Now, treat yourself like you were. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Whatever hurt, pain, trial, or situation you're fighting or fighting through, you've come to the right place. You are not alone. Stay tuned for more of The Dani Johnson Show.
I just heard this amazing story. One of our clients had written us telling us that they had used job domination and unlimited success and has absolutely exploded their career. He said, Dani, I don't know where I'd be today without job domination and unlimited success. Listen, do you want more recognition from your coworkers? Do you want to be recommended to people all over the world? Do you want to be somebody that is highly sought after? Listen, if you're in a dead-end place where this gentleman found himself, but then learned new strategies and changed everything in his work life, and obviously this has resulted in higher bonuses and pay raises, you're next. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Job Domination right now. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Job domination. That's what you need. It's time for you to dominate the job market and break through the rut that you're in.
We're back. Here's Dani Johnson.
What makes you so powerful is that you have the ability to choose one thought over another. And those that have decided to be punched in the face continuously by that ridiculous enemy called anxiety are those who have chosen the wrong thought. We have the power to control our own thoughts. And out of our thoughts, our mouths speak. And when our mouths speak, we follow what we are saying. Life and death is truly in the power of your tongue. And you've got to feed your faith instead of feeding worry, anxiety, and fear. You are called to succeed. You're called with a destiny in mind. And anxiety, worry, and fear are not your friends. They are your enemies. Today, here on the Dani Johnson Show, as in every day, 6 days a week, we are revealing the truth about success, the hindrances of it, and how to overcome them. Because anxiety will rob your bank account, rob you of your talent and ability, cause you not to reach the fullness of who you are, who you were designed to be. So the enemy of anxiety needs a pop in the nose, and you got to run in the opposite direction and start feeding your faith, feeding the dream instead of feeding your fear. We've got Durant from Gulf Breeze, Florida. Durant, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi. Most of the show has been dedicated to success, and I'm not one of the successful ones. I'm still one of the ones coping with it, or at least trying to. My story goes a little something like this. I was a fireman in 1996. 21 years old. My life was a typical 21-year-old. I was aimed at success and going to be an EMT and some things like that.
Yeah.
And then my train wreck happened. The difference is my train was a real train. 5 tankers of spilled, and 3 of them were raw chlorine, and 2 of them were mixed or were parts cleaner, and it messed up my life. And since then, my ability to focus and concentrate on things, I feel like I have a blender in my head most of the time. And I have been putting forth a lot of effort in listening to your CDs and things like that, and they've greatly improved my life. But I haven't found any level of success, and although I do have a lot better time working, a lot easier time working with people and talking to people now, I don't generate as much malice as I used to.
Durant, I'm going to tell you this. We all have a story, and I'm so sorry to hear about what happened in 1996. But it's 2014, and it's almost 2015. And Durant, I could still be the homeless woman I was in 1990. You see, just 6 years before I was a homeless woman, before your accident. I was a homeless woman about to commit suicide. Everybody had abandoned me. My husband had cheated on me, left me with $2.03 to my name and a $35,000 debt. I had built a little business that I actually had an offer for $250,000, and the man who taught me business stole that business from me. I lost $250,000. I wanted to kill myself. My parents had disowned me due to a teen pregnancy when I was 17. All of the people that I counted as so-called friends and acquaintances completely abandoned me at that time. I understand the pain and the suffering, and I love the way you described what goes on in your head. A blender going around in your head. And what is it blending? It's not blending health. It's blending death. And I battled with suicide since I was 6. I had to make a choice. Do I want 1991 to look like 1990? Do I want 1992 to look like 1990? So you have to step up to this part right here, Durant. You're making wise choices. You said you're listening to CDs and they're starting to help and you're starting to see some results, but I'm not successful yet. That's okay that you're not successful yet. You're on the path that's going to take you to that place. My recommendation is you run towards that clarity of mind, that you run away from what happened in 1996. You've got to let it go. It was a long time ago, dude. 19 years. You're going to be 40 if you're not 40 already. 40. Do you want to be thinking about the same things when you're 50? Do you want to be thinking and battling with the same things when you're 60? Life passes us by so fast. You're in control of what you focus on. You have to make the choice to get the help that you need so you can make those wise choices. I've been through 19 years of counseling. Why? I had the most disgusting childhood that has tried to haunt me, pull me back, pull me down. I had to weigh my ego with my goals. Do I want to keep blaming? Do I want to stay in this place of hurt and malice and anger? Or do I want to change? And I couldn't change by myself, Durant. I couldn't get over it by myself. But God has used people in my life to help challenge me, hold me accountable, sometimes hit me square upside the head with a 2x4, because sometimes that's what I need, because I'm so thick-headed. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that if you really want to be healed from what happened in 1996, this is your shot. I would find a counselor that you say, be hard with me. I need to move past this place. I'd be paying whatever the cost is to be free so that the next 19 years do not look like the last 19 years. I believe in you, Durant, because I know exactly where you're sitting. I know exactly what you've wrestled with, and I know that it is possible to break free from anxiety. It's not that we're never going to deal with it again. No, it's that we will be strong to not be overcome by it. That as we get the tools in our hands, as you've been hearing through the last couple of hours of the show, the tools that can be put in your hands, one of them is forgiveness. Forgiveness unravels the hatred, the malice, the blame. It unravels it. We have to release and forgive, and we have to move on. We have no choice if we want to have a brand new life. And I'm telling you right now, God is the one that can help you move past it. He's the one that I believe right now is saying, Durant, you're my son. I designed you for something great. Now, will you agree with me? And let's go walk this road together. Forgive. Forgive me for what you think I did to you in 1996. Forgive all the humans that messed up in 1996 with that terrible disaster. Forgive the choices that others made to not help you when they should have. Forgive them all and get ready for a brand new, clean slate in life. Durant, I believe in you. I believe in you, and I know that you're called to greater success because A, you're listening to this program, B, you've got CDs in your hands that are helping you. There's something in you that's saying, I gotta succeed. This is Dani Johnson. I hope that today you enjoyed our program. Join us tomorrow as we tackle another part of success in your life.
We want to thank you for listening to The Dani Johnson Show. We hope you found inspiration, answers, and hope to renew your happiness in life. Join us again on the next Dani Johnson Show.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success.